football clubs.
Ipswich Town play at Portman Road and are the only league side in Suffolk. Are the East Anglians one of England's big clubs?
Subscribe now to see how they compare with other big football clubs.
Ipswich have won a low total of trophies when compared to the biggest clubs in England. Their total league attendance since they started playing in the Football League leaves them short of the most popular clubs in the country too. A graph illustrating their success and popularity over time would demonstrate that they are not quite close to the biggest clubs in England. So can they argue that they are a big club? We've won a fair few trophies. Ipswich have won both the league title and the FA Cup on one occasion. They have also won the UEFA Cup. Portman Road has become a fortress. As latecomers to the Football League and entrants to the 3rd Division South, Ipswich's average home attendances were on the lower side and naturally far below the top flight average. Figures hit rock bottom after spending so much time there, but promotion encouraged greater numbers of fans in the 50s. It was promotion to the 1st Division which caused the first serious increase in average attendances, and Ipswich were able to nearly match the 1st Division average in their championship winning season. With subsequent relegation, attendances went back to the lows that they were before. When they were in the top flight again, crowd numbers improved, but were not sufficient to meet the top flight average. Ipswich were on the rise, and this was reflected by growing crowds. From the mid-70s, fans were coming in higher numbers than ever before, in line with the success of the club. So they were able to get fan numbers equal to, or at least very close to, the top flight average over a sustained period of time. This trailed off when they were relegated to the 2nd Division, and by the start of the 90s, crowds had more than halved over the last 10 years. Ipswich's promotion again lifted them to close to the top flight average for the season they were in the 1st Division. As Ipswich would spend most of the Premier League era in the 2nd Division, average attendances have been for the most part far off the top flight average. Improvements in form have seen attendances grow, but when in the 3rd Division, numbers were very low. Ipswich's rise back to the top has seen average numbers increase rapidly, and performances in the 2nd Division, which gave them promotion in 2024, saw them get their highest averages ever. We cruise through Europe. Ipswich's glory days culminated in their UEFA Cup run. In the quarter-final, they took on Saint-Étienne, and after a superb headed goal from Johnny Rep, the away side destroyed the French legends. A catastrophe for the club in the season of their 10th league title, and the second leg was a formality. The first leg of the final went comfortably for Ipswich against AZ Alkmaar, and their away goals settled the side in the second leg. The now Dutch champions gave a tired Ipswich a scare at the end of the match, but the Suffolk side took the spoils. We had the best side in England. This best ever Ipswich Town selection includes 2 players from their meteoric rise and first ever title, and the rest from the leading English side who came close to winning everything and did lift the UEFA Cup. We're back again. Ipswich Town started their time in the league the season before the pause over the Second World War. They were elected to the 3rd Division South and would not make a strong impact over the first few years. But they suddenly won the 3rd Division South in the mid-50s. They would spend time between the 2nd and 3rd Divisions. Better was to come after the appointment of Alf Ramsey. They won the 3rd Division South title again, and at the end of the 50s would climb the 2nd Division until they won the 2nd Division Championship at the beginning of the 60s. The very next season, they won the 1st Division title. They would not, however, manage to stay at the top, and 2 seasons later they would be relegated. They did make it back to the 1st Division by winning the 2nd Division again. This time they did not immediately take the 1st Division by storm, and Bobby Robson's side struggled to stay there in the early 70s. However, the mid-70s would turn out to be their best era, sustained over a significant period of time. Over 8 seasons, Ipswich would finish no less than 5 times in the top 3, including coming runners-up in the league on 2 occasions. Their league form was matched in terms of trophies, as they won their first FA Cup in this period, and in the 1980-81 season, Ipswich were the best side in the country, but lacking in squad depth. This meant they were knocked out of the FA Cup semi-final in extra time and were pipped to the title by Villa, but they did manage to win the UEFA Cup. But that squad had ended its run by the mid-80s, and this period saw Ipswich slide down the table season after season, until relegation in the mid-80s. They would spend the next few seasons as one of the better sides in the division and would win that championship again and gain promotion into the new Premier League. They would only stay in the Premier League for 2 years, then spent the remainder of the 90s challenging for promotion. It did come at the turn of the millennium, and Ipswich had their best finish for nearly 20 years. But this was short-lived, and within 2 seasons they would be back in the second division. Ipswich would spend the next 17 seasons in the second division, usually as one of the better sides vying for promotion, but sometimes drifting into mid-table. But the worst was to come, as in 2019 Ipswich were relegated to the third division. In fact, they remained there for the next 4 seasons before they were able to escape back to the second division. But they were well on the rise, as in the very next season they were promoted back to the top flight. Ipswich Town have not won that many honours for all the time at the top of the table in the 70s and 80s. Considering how rarely they have played in Europe, the UEFA Cup win shows how they have relative success on the continent. Ipswich have not had historically strong attendances. Things are on the up, but it will take a long period of success for the club to compete with the most popular teams in England. Ipswich played in some big matches whilst they were at the top, but they don't have the range of great games over their entire history. That side from the 70s and 80s was legendary, but again, this is from a very specific period of time. Ipswich Town have made their mark on English and European football, especially with their high-flying side when at their peak. But other than this, and that one-off league title, the club have not consistently been in the top flight. Ipswich would have to stay in the Premier League for a long time and win more trophies to be considered one of England's
big football clubs.
Are Ipswich Town bigger than Norwich City?
Please comment below. Like and subscribe to Big Football Clubs to watch videos as they're released each week.